Okay. So I think we're good to go here.
Sweet.
So today is Sunday, the 13th of January, at about 1 p.m. I am Shurlama, aka David Pampa, and with me is Sedona. And we're going to be doing just a little bit of animation fun today. So unfortunately, we didn't have a whole lot of people that could make the stream today due to scheduling conflicts and just everyone trying to get back to the schedule of, you know, getting back to the normal lives. So today we thought we'd try to switch it up a little bit, make things a little bit different. Instead, today we're going to be going through one of my animations that I'm working on currently. We're going to be talking about shot breakdowns and performance issues and all sorts of fun stuff. And Sedona's here today to help me out, just kind of a second pair of eyes on the whole deal to just help me troubleshoot things. So, what are we working on?
I don't know. What are you working on?
So today, we're working on the cinematic.
Ooh.
Which is... Let's see if I can find a good
How long
one
of a cinematic is it?
It's about 25 seconds.
25 seconds?
Maybe 20. Can't remember exactly. It's been a while since I looked at it.
What kind, sorry. What was the question? I had a question and then I gapped. Oh.
So this is the animation I'm working on.
Like, shots.
And actually, let me jump this out real quick so you guys can actually see it. There's a side window. I'm gonna hide that. Okay. So playing through it again. So this is a short little conflict between Gregory the Invincible and Tiny the Intragnisant Troll. Just a little short bit of action that I wanted to get through and kind of have fun with. But over the course of working on this, I have had issues with performance and shot comp and just, you know, really trying to figure out where the peaks and valleys should be in this performance. So this is what it used to be, like way back in the day. This was kind of the idea. I'm gonna turn on the music a little bit.
How long ago would you say that this is?
I don't know. I've been working on it off and on for about a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Just whenever I can get a spare moment. But like I divide my time so much between animating and painting. That, you know, it's just every time I look at it again, it's like, oh crap, this needs to change and this needs to change. And it's a terrible pit I've gotten myself into.
Yep.
But this was the original idea.
I like it as someone who.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
But so I like this part up to about here. You get to the section where he cracks him across the face, and that's all fine and dandy. But right here is where we start having troubles. So the original idea was I would cut out to this shot. You could see, you know, some kind of conflict here, but then there was kind of like a little comedic cut where they're like, wait, that didn't go exactly like I planned at all. And then he realizes his mistake and gets punished for it. The problem with this is this shot right here. So it starts out fine. I like the start of the shot where nobody's moving. You see the other half of the spear, the other half of the weapon like falling down, and then you see his reaction. But throughout the shot, the whole thing kind of falls apart. So as we get towards the later half of this, we start losing focus on what we're supposed to be looking at. So do we look at the protagonist? Do we look at the troll? And then it kind of goes back and forth, and the whole thing is kind of a mess. So over time, I've tried doing different approaches, and I've been really destructive with this. What is a good one? So I think this will work. So I tried switching it up a little bit. It begins the same. But then when we get to here, I thought I'd start breaking it up and break it down into more shots. So now you can focus on just the things I want you to focus on. So we focus on his reaction, then his reaction, and then it eventually resolves. But there was a couple things wrong with this too. One, I still feel like this shot was too long, and that we should only see Why doesn't spacebar work for that? That is so weird. So the problem here is we still focus on this too long. There's multiple things to focus on, so you can start off with the main character, but then Tiny takes focus, and then he takes focus again, and it kind of falls apart again. The other issue with these individual cuts where we just focus on reactions, these characters do the exact same thing for 3 shots in a row. So every single one of these is just the character going like, kind of a thing, and it really loses momentum. Like, it stops the whole progression of the story dead. And then, of course, the last shot kind of falls apart because it's just a bad shot in general. So I was trying to take it apart and figure out different ways to deal with this too. Which led me to, I think, this version. So this is a really, really rough cut. I was just trying to get some ideas across. We start off with the shot the same, but instead, when the main character pops up, we cut in close to him. So he's actually focusing on him and the weapons and things like that. And then Tiny's free to do what he wants in the background without drawing too much focus. We could still focus on the main character. And then when he turns around, instead of seeing his reaction, we just focus on Tiny and how pissed off he is. But then here's where I'm having trouble. After this point, I'm not sure how to get from point A here to point B of him getting thrown off the edge. And there's a lot of different ways I can deal with this, and I'm trying to figure it out a quick and clean way to do it, because I really don't want to drag this sequence out any much further. It's already, I think, 25 seconds at this point, and if I keep dragging it out, it's just going to pit her, and I don't want to do that. So the 2 thoughts I had was, one, we could hold on this shot where he's looking up at Tiny, and then Tiny kind of moves and advances to blot out this entire screen, so we don't see the main character anymore. And just before he gets covered up, the main character goes into like a pure panic mode. And then the next shot we see is of him getting thrown off the bridge. So we kind of imply the action in between the 2 shots. The other thing I thought about doing, which would be a lot harder, was in this shot, he can spin to run away. But then as he tries to run, we see him slipping on the broken piece of his weapon that would roll over to this side. And then he would fall to the floor or trip and fall, which gives Tiny the opportunity to either grab onto him or really just like kind of like deck him. And we wouldn't see too much of Tiny in that shot. Like, I feel the framing of this whole thing is really bad. And that would cause him to fall off the edge.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
My personal opinion is probably like less is more for telling the story. You might be overthinking the reaction a bit. I don't know if you have, like, someone actually mentioned in the chat was just Animal Nature says just cut to the bridge from the close-up and lose that insert and see how it feels comedically.
Yeah.
And like telling story-wise, because you've got I don't think you need too much to know that like something he got thrown off. My thought was he had actually like jumped off when he was running away from the guy when you had that flea. As much as I loved the flea from like the actual animation of him running away, I think that not showing anything gives a better, it leaves it up to the viewer's imagination.
Cool. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think you guys, I'm reading through chat here, and I think I agree with everyone's opinion. I think we could pretty much cut out
like
that last cut. No, it looks like I already did it too.
Yeah.
So
I think it's very much a like don't gild the lily situation, which is something that when you're working on a personal project, I know is super hard not to do because it's your thing and you don't have someone telling you what to do, and so you start overthinking everything, and like you have to kind of know when you're done with it, because sometimes you just keep going and going and it changes and it changes and it changes, and by that point like it's changed so much you may as well have done like a different animation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other half of this too, is I don't want to keep working on this. I don't want to drill it into the ground. I want to finish this and move on to the next thing, because you know, whether this is good or bad, if you polish a turd, it doesn't going to make it stop stinking. Like, so you just you really got to put a pin in it at some point, or just put it in the ground and be done with it. So yeah, I think what we're going to do,
move on to bigger and better things.
Exactly. So I think what I'll do is I will cut this entire shot here,
Yeah.
which makes
Save
me
it
so
for
happy.
a rainy day.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
could
good
do
shot.
something
I love
else.
this shot.
I
Like
admit,
this would be useful in other situations for sure.
yeah, like I was actually really happy about the stumble and run away.
No, the
Like that
stumble and
part I
run is
liked.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
great.
think I
Tiny's reaction was not.
mhm.
I feel like everything he did really kind of muddied up the composition and made it really hard to focus on any one thing.
Yeah.
Because he did a lot of
It
crossover
would
motion, and so it really just changed the direction of the
mhm.
whole shot.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much you have to consider camera wise too. That
Exactly.
you can like the 180 rule is really important, and like making sure that like everyone knows where things are going is super important.
Yeah.
Everyone here knows what the 180 rule is, I'm assuming. I
I
don't
hope
know
so.
how
If
many
not,
like
I will
we've gotten
gladly
here.
explain it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Like yeah, if any students haven't learned about the 180 rule, it's something that like you learn in school, but sometimes you forget about. But it's you have to keep it in mind when you're working on something
yeah,
like this, because if you don't, it gets real confusing real fast.
and I'm reading through the comments here. I think what Flat Tangent is saying actually makes sense too. Do we even need the close up of Tiny? I'm more interested in the voice emotion. Everything the monster can be left almost implied.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
yeah. Like have him more recovering. Yeah.
yeah. So I agree. Like the framing of this shot's kind of weird too. But I
Hmm.
was trying
It's
to.
so straight on. I think that's one of the.
Yeah, yeah. We could probably cut this. And plus, his face controls are really bad. Like,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
was
yeah.
it? Mizium, you mentioned that you worked on Tiny in the past, and yeah, he's a lot of fun. 8 years ago, 10 years ago, he was
He
a
wa-
great rig to work on. But nowadays, he is so lacking in so many ways, and his performance sucks. Like it's
Was he a gameplay rig by any chance?
no, he wasn't. He was
No?
a full film. He actually has a full dynamic muscle system in him.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
I have it turned off, obviously, because there's no way I'm going to use that right now, and there's no way I'm going to
Hmm.
deal with muscle systems, especially ones from
Yeah.
10 years ago. But we
Yeah.
could
Oh
definitely
God.
cut this out. But I got to figure out a way to link it then. So we could do, maybe we could do a combination of things. So what was it? What was the one of the previous ones I did? This one? Oh, of course. Yeah, but.
Whew.
Is it this one? Nope, it's not this one. Next one up. That just takes me off to no end. Open
Oh.
with media player. So maybe we could do something where it's similar to this, because I do like this whole bashful performance. Like, oh crap, I knew I fucked up kind of thing. But,
Yeah.
you know, I cut it because it didn't make sense to do that throughout the rest of the end, or for the rest of this sequence. But if we cut this, and we just kind of combine this bashful shot with his reaction, I think that could work. So we'd still have Tiny, like, dominating 3/4 of the screen, but we just have his reactions and stuff in the bottom right-hand corner here. And I think that would work fine. But then,
Yeah.
to transition between this and him getting thrown off the bridge, my first thought, and tell me what you think about this, is to have him kind of snarl, do like a major emotion change here, and then have his body block off the screen. So we do like a weird transition there. So
You could do that, or you could have it like sort of pan out, and like you could either like pan it out and have it so he sort of overtakes the frame. But I think see what happens if you don't do that first. Like just have this reaction, and then the shot from the bridge, like
Okay.
viewing the bridge.
So don't
and
worry
see
about
what it
blotting
looks-
out the frame. Just do his
Yeah.
reaction change and then jump
Yeah.
straight to the bridge.
Yeah, because I love that sort of cut where it's just the reaction
Yeah.
and then a wide angle shot, and then you're seeing the repercussions of their actions.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't
Cool.
know. I think it just feels so. What's the word? It feels very like Looney Tunes. It's that classic style
It
of
does.
like
Yeah. It,
I will
it
that
absolutely
never gets
does.
old for me.
Yeah. And the blotting out of the frame might be too slow of a transition, too. So let's see.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
see how the shot
Even
does
if
by
you like
itself.
really push for a nervous expression and then hold it there. Oh shit, 1 second, sorry. Ah crap.
Okay.
Where
So first of all, I'm gonna have to butcher this scene. This is gonna be a fun part because I have to cut out a large amount. Oh god, look at that! It's a fantastic pose. All right. I also think I scaled this guy up like 10 or 20% specifically for this shot. But
Hi, sorry. Am I back?
yep, you're here.
Sorry, I was given hot chocolate.
Ooh, I want hot
Tim
chocolate.
Hortons thought
But
you
instead,
should
I'm
get
just gonna
some
keep
hot
pumping my
chocolate.
body full of this crap.
What crap? Coffee?
Mountain Dew.
Oh no.
It's all
That's like
terrible.
the most. That's such a gamer thing.
It is. I am such a goddamn stereotype right now.
Someone drink Mountain Dew. I don't even think I saw anyone drink it in university, and I went to school for game dev.
That's funny.
We were all on Monster. Monster.
You guys were all on
and
Monster?
and Red Bull. Monster Energy drink.
No, Mountain Dew was pretty much like my live stream.
Oh no. There was a guy in my year when like my very first year of university, and I, for reasons, hated the guy. I still hate the guy, but I remember he was super big into Pepsi. And boy, did he love his Pepsi. And in the 8 months that we knew him, because he had a cafeteria with an all-you-can-eat cafe when you go in that had soda fountains, he got himself a nice little pot belly from all the Pepsi he had access to.
Oh yeah, I was the same way.
Yeah.
I think I put on like 30 pounds over the course of my full college education, and it took me a long
Yeah,
time to drop
freshman
off.
15.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, the freshman 15 was dangerous for me, but like, it was like $11 to get into the caf, so I'm like, I should eat my money's worth.
well that's the other thing. You had a cafeteria. We did not.
Yeah,
Full Sail
I
does
had
not
a
have a
mandatory
cafeteria.
cafeteria. No, I had a mandatory cafeteria. I needed it if I wanted to stay in res, so I had to pay for that caf.
Well, that's fine. I mean, did you actually have a place to
had-
cook or anything?
Hmm?
Did you have a place to cook at all?
Nope, no hot plates allowed.
Well, see,
and
there you
stuff.
go. I mean,
had
yeah,
a
you
hot
need the
plate
cafeteria or
regardless.
else you're not going to eat.
Oh yeah, no, I had a hot plate regardless. Actually, I wonder how induction hot plates are going to impact that rule.
The
This
ones
is
that
way
are
off
cold to the
tangent, I'm
touch.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are cold to the touch, and they're just cooking in this. They're not as big of a fire hazard, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, so let's see if I can actually do this cleanly. Like, I was trying to cut this whole scene apart for a while.
Oh, so did you just do it entirely on one take and just have it swap between cameras?
I did not. I actually have like 10 cameras here, or 8 cameras here.
Sorry,
and
I
then-
didn't mean move the. You have 10 cameras, but you have it switching between cameras on the same
Ubercam, yeah.
sequence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
Like
don't
me,
I don't
I
have a whole bunch of
probably
different
would not
shots.
Yeah. Like with TV animation, when you've got something like this, you don't normally have one camera. You have, or sorry, you don't have, you don't do one file. You have a series of files, and each file is saved by what take you're working on.
Yep, and that
And so you
is
open that file.
that makes a
and
lot
that
of
is when-
sense when you have a bunch of animators working on stuff.
Yeah.
If it's just
it
one
totally
person,
does.
we've actually tried it back and forth in cinematics. Like on Uncharted 3, we
Yeah.
broke up every single shot individually into a separate file, and we assigned every single shot to a different animator. But
You worked on Uncharted 3?
yes,
I'm going to talk to you about that after. Sorry.
okay. But as we moved on, we decided that was not an effective way to do it. It was so hard trying to get continuity working between shots
Yeah.
that we didn't want to keep tapping animators for the same shot over and over again. So we eventually switched it over to one scene per sequence. So now one animator is responsible for the entire cinematic sequence. And that ended up
Okay.
working a lot better. So I kind of took a page out of that to do this.
It definitely
But-
helps with the continuity thing.
Yeah, it does. But I can totally understand why people in film and television and everywhere else pretty much do it shot by shot. It makes a lot of sense to me. It's just for
Absolutely.
something with a huge amount of... Well, TV works really fast too.
can, yeah. It's just really neat hearing about different pipelines.
Yeah.
Like, because again, I'm working in gameplay animation now, so I don't know how it works in cinematics at my job. So it's really neat to see.
You should ask.
I should, but normally no one wants to talk about work when I go visit them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's something we try to deviate away from too. Like talking about work outside of work, or even at work,
Yeah.
is not.
Yeah. Oh no,
not
even
great.
like we have a game dev social night here in Toronto every month called Torontaru. Nobody talks about work.
Yeah.
Normally it's like shooting the shit and what have you been up to? What are you doing right now? Like I occasionally like because we've got Capybara games here and so I will talk to Jim Guthrie every so often because one he's one of my favorite musicians.
Nice.
And two, it's really neat hearing what he's working on and so he's showed me some really neat stuff. And so sometimes that happens, but like most of the time it's like, hey, how's life? And like being stressed about work, but not necessarily talking about work.
Yeah. And that's such a common pitfall too. Like I like to host wine and cheese nights, like once a
Oh,
month or something like that. And
invite
it
me
is
over,
so
gosh.
easy to derail the conversation and start talking about work. And
Yeah,
I absolutely hate it.
yeah,
I mean, I'm at
my
the studio
yeah,
60 hours a week. I don't need to be talking about it outside of that point.
yeah.
You guys looking at
One of
the
my
small screen right now?
yeah. Oh
This,
dear.
this is what happens when you delete frames.
Oh, I thought that's what happens when you pissed off an ogre.
That too. Okay, so now it should just be one shot to this shot. Cool. Now the question is, can I successfully drag all this?
Oh, thank you very much, Broken Tangent. Congratulations, you are an animation spirit animal, Shrill Llama.
Yay!
I mean, you already are a llama, so you're halfway there.
Deep inside, I know I am. I am filled with the spitting and the wurgle and the whark. Yeah, that's the sound llamas make. And the whark.
Of course. Sorry, I was imagining. Oh God. What would you rather talk about than besides work while wine and cheesing?
Yeah, literally anything.
Like, yeah, like what are you doing? Like what kind of stuff's happening at home? How are your friends? What's your love life like? Oh, what things have you eaten lately? Where are you going?
What
Like,
have you eaten lately? That's
yeah, food
what's
is
in
an
your stomach
important
right now?
subject for me. I fucking love food. So I love talking food. But I also know like I remember when I finally left the job at Snowball and went to Ubisoft. A couple months in from Torontaru, everyone was commenting, they're like, you look so much more alive than you usually do when you come to these events. Like,
What is that supposed to mean?
that.
That's like going up to somebody saying, "Hey, you look tired today." That's
Well, no, because everyone's always asked, like, are you okay? But like, and they know because I will vent about work. Because sometimes you vent about work, but
oh sure, absolutely.
um, you're also one of the other problems about talking about work is a lot of the times you can't because you're under NDA,
Yeah,
and that kind of you can't talk about things with people. Like there are definitely times where people break that, but it depends on how much you like your job, I guess.
yeah. It always
And
depends on the
so
situation. That's always a tough area to
mhm,
deal with.
it is. NDAs are no joke. When it like I could talk with my friend about working on Below because everyone knew that they were working on Below, but I can't talk about what I'm working on.
Right.
And keeping my
Okay.
mouth shut about it sometimes is like on productions can be really rough, but
Oh yeah, when you're working on a game for like, what was it? I was working on Days Gone for I think 3 years before it
yeah.
was announced. That was
Hmm.
super tough. Like I'm so used to being a
I can
contractor.
imagine.
I jump from job to job so often.
Yeah.
Like my average contract was 6 months, and usually by that point, with cinematics, they always come in at the end of the project for cinematic
Hmm.
contractors. So at that point, the game's usually announced, or it's like a
Yeah.
month away from being announced. So you don't have to keep your lips that tight to begin with.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, for working on Days Gone, that was such a struggle.
Oh, I can imagine. Like for me, keeping my mouth shut about troll hunters was a fucking nightmare.
I bet.
Like, oh, that was like the coolest job. Nah, that's not me. It was genuinely just, it was a cool experience, and I couldn't tell anyone about it, and I had to sit on that secret. And it's tough, but yeah, that's why you try to not talk about work a lot of the time.
82 the J, thank you for your subscription.
What? We got a subscriber?
I wish it was going to me, but this is not my channel. But Elise and the AniMates, thank you very much.
Finally, an animator on Twitch. No, no, no. There's animators on Twitch. We're gonna try to make this a little more frequent and try to have the AniMates like alternate between doing like sharing stuff, and we'll try to have it not just on Sundays so people can kind of hop in and be like, I'm working on this tonight, you guys want to watch? And then it's like all here so everyone can see it. That's at least the hope for the next year. It's just everyone's super busy still, and yeah, I think shit's hitting the fan at a lot of studios, like just real life.
Yeah,
So,
I'm on crunch time again, for sure.
yeah. Oh no, I've been warned, like this year's gonna be very rough for me because I think I'm about to hit production hell.
Yep. And I haven't recovered from the last time.
Broken Tangent, well, yeah, first off, yeah, Broken Tangent, you're on Twitch, and so is Kyle Bunk, and he's a sprite artist. There's
He's
a
a
few
3D animator,
animators
too.
on Twitch. Yeah, Kyle is 2D and 3D. He's a fucking tank, that dude.
And I know Effie Machado's also an animator.
Yeah. Man, we should actually, that would be a good idea, is getting a list of other Twitch animators so that they can like share when they're streaming and the animates could like promote it.
Yeah, what I do on my stream is I have a list down below on the channel that says like recommendations. So like I use my channel mostly for painting. So below I have a list of all the painters that I think really do good at like focusing on different areas. So ones that focus on value versus color versus design versus just all sorts of things. And we should definitely do that for animation.
Absolutely.
Or at least have a
'Cause
page or something.
I really want to animate more on Twitch because I mostly drew too.
Okay, so I think I got that shot pretty well cut out.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Elise Geimer, the person who started this,
Right.
has.
But you know that because you're here.
And yes, yeah, and Kyle is on Twitch. That's actually how I first found him and how I started harassing him and how we got an interview with him, because I basically like lurked his stream all the goddamn time.
Look at you lurking.
Because he is someone who loves talking with people while he's working.
Yeah. So let's see.
What else?
Look at my flappy tongue. Get that out of here.
God, I've always hated animating tongues.
I've never been good
Just
at
'cause
it.
they're so rudimentary most
Yeah.
of the time. And we had some really bad ones on Puppy Dog Pals, which involved lots of tongues, because puppies.
That makes sense. Is this it? I could just... Yeah, there you go. Later, Tiny.
No.
Oh, this is another change I
wonder-
made, too. It didn't really make sense for
What?
him to have a spear and then crack the guy across the face with a spear. So I switched it up to a kind of a long polearm mace kind of thing.
Oh, neat. Yeah,
Yeah,
also,
so-
question.
Yep.
Is that designed to break?
Yes, I designed it to break.
Okay. Oh, so you actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
Could
Yeah, and I
you-
also
could you
added
drill
scaling to
in
it too,
and
so I
then
could do some crazy stuff to it like this.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Like some smears. Some nice smears. Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Do
So
you wanna at some point like get into how you managed to make that work?
sure. Sure. But let's let the audience decide.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to know how I dealt with this, so the rig I'm using right now is the Adventure made by Kyle Figgins. Excellent rig. I absolutely adore it. But the spear had very limited controls on it. So this is the only control on it, and it doesn't have any attributes or anything like that except for pinning. So I was like, well, that's not going to be great for things like if I'm trying to swing this really hard and I need to get that kind of bend in the back. Like you can see in this shot over here in the bottom right hand corner that the spear has like kind of like a nice curve to it. And for things like this, where I'm trying to block out the entire frame, the spear wasn't wide enough to do that, so I added scaling to it to make it work. But then, obviously, for this shot, I needed the spear to break, so I had to come up with a visibility switch. Oops. Nice. And then broken. So boom, just like that. that's a pretty long mace thing. All right, so we can break that down real quick. Let me bring up a new instance of Maya.
Sorry to distract you from this.
Oh no.
It's just such a neat. It's not something I've actually had to personally do.
Yeah, this is all supposed to be informative. This is a teaching moment.
Yeah. I had a good nightmare of a prop on Elena of Avalor. There was a chili pepper that I had to slice, and the rig was not set up so basically there was like slice 1, slice 2, slice 3 on this pepper, and the person was supposed to chop their way up the pepper and slide and put them in the sofrito, and the pepper, when it was rigged, it had the switches, but they weren't lined up and they didn't actually fit together. And so then when we had them go fix the rigs, I'd lined them up initially, but then when we asked the riggers to make it so that there were the stays, they didn't line them up at all. And so when we tried to ask them to do that, they went no. So we had to figure out how to do that again.
They straight up said no? That's kind of messed up.
We don't have the time for that. It was
okay.
Elena was a nightmare of a production at ARC. We had a lot of juniors. We had about 50 people animating on that TV show. Just a lot of junior animators, because we were also trying to work on a movie. And I just remember there being crazy rigging nightmares. I highly recommend, though, that you befriend your riggers and start asking why things do or don't work, because they'll normally give you a really interesting explanation as to why the fuck something isn't doing what it should be doing.
Yeah.
That's super cool, though, by the way. Like, seeing I need to practice rigging some more. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about the spear. And
yeah.
It actually looks like I might have screwed up my controls here. Because it looks like that bending. Maybe it's just the broken one. So, the problem. I have a rig and I was missing some features that I needed to use for my shot. So the first of which was a bendable spear. So when I got this rig, there were no joints in this. It was one control, and the geometry was constrained to the control itself. But I wanted to add bendability to it. So what I had to do was I modified the geometry. I put more spans in the shaft so it could actually deform. And I probably could have done a lot more with this. I pretty much did it on the joints. But if you look in here, I added just a single joint chain all the way down. And then I created curve controls.
Oh, you've already got the part where it's split too. That's super neat.
Well, I did that later. Let me see if I can actually switch this back to the not broken state. There we go. And I think these will deform a lot better. Yeah, there we go. That's a much better deformation. And I'm not rotating all the controls at once, but... So I created the controls, constrained the controls, or the joints to the controls. And it's just a really simple rig. And even the skinning was pretty minimal. Like, if you actually look at the deformation, it's not a pretty curve at all. Like, it's poking out and it's doing all this weird stuff, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you're only seeing it for like a frame or two. So long as you can feel the effect of the curve without having to like nitpick it apart, it works just fine. The tougher part was dealing with the broken piece. So for the broken piece, what I did is I duplicated the geometry of the spear, copied it over, did just like a polygon split, and then set up an attribute so that when I turn it on, it divides it up into two pieces that can then be moved around separately. And I set the pivot point to right in the middle of the object, so center of gravity, that kind of thing. What was really a big issue was scaling. So this whole rig, you can take this attribute and you can scale them up and down. So trying to figure out where these controls and these joints were supposed to fit inside a hierarchy was much tougher. I actually had to go into the node editor and kind of plug in some attributes. But all in all, that took about maybe like an hour to get all done. And the scaling was easy enough to do too. I mean, for that, all you have to do is connect your scale to size. And actually, we don't have it on the broken piece. We're going to do it on this guy. So if you just connect like an attribute to the scaling of the joint in 2 of the axes, then you can get a scaling effect like this pretty easily. And again, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be like the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
You only see it for about a frame or two. So long as you can feel the effect without actually having to nitpick it, you're good to go. The super tough thing is when I decided to do this and create a blunt object at the end. So suddenly I wasn't working with 2 pieces of geometry, I was working with 4. Because you have the spear, the broken spear, the mace, the broken mace. And trying to get these 2 attributes to play with each other so you could actually see which one, the correct one based on what the attributes you have chosen, that was way tougher. For that, I had to... What is it? For that, I had to come up with a solution here, where I came up with a plus minus that averaged that, and then based on an if-else condition, depending on which values were set to 1 and which values were set to 0, that would be the one that was visible. And so I came up with this whole system here to make it work. It was worth it. It was 100% worth it, because I love being able to just go into a prop and just be like, okay, we'll toggle this, done. Excellent. Anyways, that's some of my thought process for that. And then other things I did for this too, I found out that this character's eyes did not have scalable pupils. So if I went into the eyes here, I think it was these controls. Yeah. So this was the set width of the eye. So I changed it up, so I added 2 joints to the eyes so you can vary up the size of the iris and vary up the size of the pupil. Or
That's...
switch that up. Yeah.
I had no idea. Out of curiosity, was this a was this a student rig or like just a free rig that someone made? I've never actually gotten to use this guy before.
Yeah, this was a rig, and you have to pay for it. It was a rig made by Kyle Figgins, and he's got like 20 or 30 rigs you can download. Like half of them are free.
That's really awesome.
And I love the design of this character, and I love
great.
all the props and stuff he has on him. But there are some limitations, so I had to come up with how'd you do that? By adding joints to the eyes? Oh, that's actually not too hard.
Yeah.
So
it's actually really interesting. Like it's neat seeing different like cheap or free rigs that are like just what limitations each one has.
Yeah.
How did you? Oh, did you actually? Oh, they're semicircles.
Yep, which is kind of frustrating. I like having orbs. But let me see if I can pull up the joints.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. But yeah, like even with the Fawn rig that I've been using, which is like a pay what you want game rig, she doesn't have a lot of facial capabilities, but she's got like her spear has a lot of deformers on it. But for hers is more for body mechanics, so I understand that was the focus there. But it's kind of interesting seeing where certain attributes that people don't naturally think about will overlook.
And I think an important takeaway here too is just because you have a free rig or just because you get a rig does not mean you can't change it. Make it fit to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I gotta do that more often. I'm technically not allowed at my job, but that's because I'm just using like the generic human IK rig. So, very different.
Yeah, and I'm the same way too. But it was kind of fun talking to, was it Alec last week? That was talking about his Spider-Verse shots.
Yeah,
I was blown away by how much stuff he did to the rig and the scene to make it work for him. If it was my production pipeline, wouldn't be allowed to touch any of it.
Yeah, we'll have to get Alex to come do some explanations on his Spider-Verse shots.
Yeah.
It was one of the reasons I really wanted to get my friend Tay to come and do a talk, but she's too shy, which is fine. But I would have loved her to come on.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the pupil joint I created. Okay, here we go. So, and I can't see it. I think the whole thing is... So I'm looking at the outliner here. I'm trying to get these to be visible. This is always tough. Trying to pick apart somebody else's rig is such an uphill battle. Oh, that's... Nope, it won't let me do that. So that probably means there's a visibility control for joints, I'm guessing.
You are way more versatile than I.
I try to be.
I need to learn this stuff.
Okay, so if we can hide the polygons real quick, because that's getting in the way. So we have the eye, and then we have the pupil, which looks like... Wait, why are these not visible? That's crazy.
Those the control points for the face?
No, I used a joint for the pupil, but it's still under a visibility thing. Anyways, we don't really need to see them. So what I did was I created two joints right on top of each other. And if you can see like the wireframes, there's two circles here that I added in. Actually, those might have already existed. But what I did, one joint was just weighted to control this geometry right here. And then another joint was used to control this ring of geometry. And that's it. That's the only thing they're weighted to. And then I made them children of the actual eye joint, which is back here. So as I move this around, you can see... What is it? Nope.
That's really neat.
Yeah. But there's a huge disadvantage to this. So this is a very hacky way of doing it. There's much better ways of controlling iris and pupil dilation. But if you look at the way I did it... Let me grab this eye here. And you scale it in. Like, let's just look at the iris. You can see... Oops. Nope. Nope. You can see... the geometry actually collapses behind the pupil.
Oh. Yeah, if you get it too far.
So yeah, you can kind of mess with the shape, but if you take it too far and bring it around to a certain point, you're gonna start fighting your own geometry. So is this the best way to do it? Absolutely not. This is a terrible way to do it. but like I said, again, you only see it from like a distance or for a few frames. So if the audience doesn't know, they're none the wiser.
I've actually seen some tutorials lately for how to do 2D textures for faces, and I wonder if those tutorials would be really good for hacks like this.
Yeah, there's actually...
Oh, those ones... Because it's like essentially a texture overlay over existing geometry, and you can adjust those 2D textures, right?
Oh, yeah. But there's also ways to deform UVs. So you don't necessarily have to just control the geometry or the joints or anything like that. You can actually take the UVs, put them under their own cluster or their own lattice or something like that, and then deform that. So your geometry doesn't change, but the texture does. Then you run into issues with things like stretching and squishing and things like that. But again, if it works, who cares?
It's really interesting.
Oh, another difficulty I had to deal with too, and we're done with this, but... So for this part, where he's running up and he's grabbing the spear with two hands, one major problem is grabbing something with two hands created a cycle check. And the reason was because on this weapon, he has an attribute here for pinning. And it lets you jump between the world, the left hand, and the right hand. But unfortunately, since all those connections exist, if you try to put both hands on the same prop, it creates a cycle check. So what I had to do is I had to break the connections on the right hand, create my own aux pivot, make that, and then parent it to the staff itself. So now I have a very jury-rigged kind of setup here where I can rotate his hand on the shaft of the spear. And I promise I'm going to do a tutorial on this later because aux pivots are like one of my favorite things in the world. But
Sweet.
that was another quick and dirty fix just to make it work for this shot.
Yeah. So, Mr. Barbarian, I don't know if you can answer this question for me, by the way, Lana, but Mr. Barbarian asks, is there not a way to make the edge follow the topology when you scale it, like an edge constraint?
There is, and I have seen that before.
Because yeah, I think
But
I've seen
it's been
too.
it's been like 10 years since I had to do it. But yeah, technically what you can do is you can have it's almost like a geometry constraint where you can have like a sphere, and they use this for things like oval-shaped eyes or eyes that can constantly like deform and things like that. What you can do is you can have your geometry shape, and then another shape that has your texture on it that is constrained to the shape of the object. So you can actually, I think you can actually scale the different edges and things like that, but it'll still maintain the same oval shape because you have a geometry constraint to the underlying object. But like I said, it's been a long time since I've tried doing it. And if I tried to do it now, I guarantee it would take me hours to be like, what the fuck is this again?
Mm-hmm.
It's also not very useful for video games, which is probably why I forgot.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that you learn in college that you forget for one reason or another, mostly because either it never ends up applying to what you're working on, so you forget, or like your tool set has a completely different way of setting stuff up. Like I was taught how to set up constraints in Maya, but then I went and there was an auto constraint tool at work, so I never really had to worry about it again.
An auto
And
constraint
then Motion Builder has a completely different way of setting up their constraints, and so it's you forget stuff.
Yeah.
And by all means, Google it because there are so many tutorials, and Google is your friend. I'm just so scared of breaking rigs because I didn't hate rigging, but rigging hated me. And that is why I'm an animator and not anything else.
Alright, so I think I can actually start animating now.
Yeah.
Let's see if we
Sorry
can...
about that.
No, it's all good. This is the whole point. We're just getting these conversations going.
Yeah.
So let's see if I can...
Barbarian also said, yet another constraint when making games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pun was super intended there, but...
It kind of looks like a monkey there. That's weird.
Hmm?
I'm looking at the main screen here. Kind of looks like a monkey.
Oh. I mean, I assumed that he was in some way based off of, like,
Wukong?
the Monkey King.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what part am I going to work on first? I think I want to try to block in the reaction here where he turns around, but it looks like my camera's doing some funkiness between the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what are you? You're not pretty. I don't like you.
This character also reminds me of another Journey to the West
There we go.
game protagonist. His name was Monkey. He was voiced and mocapped by Andy Serkis. I don't know. Here, wait. Let me just Google it again. I really liked the character design for Monkey, though.
Are there any really
Do you know
basic
what game
techniques? No, I'm not familiar with it. I'm reading the chat right now. Are there any really basic techniques worth learning to get more mileage out of a rig? Yes! So, a really good idea when you're dealing with a new rig, especially if you're working on personal projects, things like that, is create a smaller animation first. So do an animation that's like 2 or 3 seconds long, and try to put it through its paces. Like have the character doing like backflips, jumps, and doing all sorts of stuff. Try to use IK and FK. Try to use the prop interactions. So you can have them just do like this like really freaky kind of thing, but the whole point is just going through the paces to understand what the rig can do. Like that was one of my big mistakes working on this. This was my first time using this rig, and I learned over time that he has some pretty neat features that I wasn't aware of when it first started. So it kind of shot me in the foot later on. Like for instance, I did not know that this guy has a palm contact.
Oh yeah?
Let's see. Yeah, right here. So there's a pivot point that you can set to where it creates its own aux pivot. So this becomes the new pivot point for the arm. He has that built in, standard. I was like, what the hell? Because I do locator systems to do with that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And you never see this in production, for at least not in games. So when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, that's amazing! But the other thing that I learned is each one of these limbs... Is it the shoulder? Is it the arm? You can also swap out the rotation orders, which is another thing that I use all the time, or I use locators for all the time. Like, you run into a situation where, like, your arms are perfectly straight ahead, like this or something, and every key you set gimbals out. One way to avoid that is to create a locator with a different orientation and deal with it that way. But this rig has a way to just set a key and be like, hey, you know, I'm just going to switch out my my rotation order so you don't have to deal with it anymore. It's amazing. So yeah, if I had taken the time just to play with the rig for a little bit before I actually got into the shot, I could have saved myself some trouble. Not that it was difficult. I mean, constraining locators of things is pretty much my bailiwick, so it wasn't a big deal for me, but still, for everyone else, anyone who's not too familiar with rigging or jury rigging or anything like that, it's way more beneficial to actually take some time and become familiar with your rig.
Mm-hmm. Pose tests are really good for that too. Yeah. Like starting with poses and then doing a small body mechanics animation and then ramping into it is probably your best course of action. Pose tests are also really common from what I've seen in games, like trying to get a feel for like the character's personality and what kind of poses look good from like all angles and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can start picking out like deformation issues too, so you can set it to your rigger.
Mm-hmm.
So Animal Nature says, good advice. I was kind of asking in terms of rigging and customization, but I like this answer as well. Rigging and customization is different. So if you have a rig and you want to make adjustments to it, there's two different situations. Either you're familiar with rigging or you're not. If you're familiar with rigging, you don't have a problem. You can save a copy of the rig file, open it up, and just start breaking crap. Just have fun with it. If you don't know how to rig that well, I do something that I call jury rigging, which is... Alright, imagine you go to your rigger and be like, hey, I need this character. Or I need this car. It needs to be a great car. And the rigger spends like, a week on it and gives you this amazing Ferrari rig. It's beautiful. It's got amazing controls, beautiful model, deformation, everything. All the features are beautiful. And you're like, cool, I got this rig now. But your creative director comes in and he's like, hey, we need this car to plow snow. You can't plow snow with a Ferrari. It's like, I don't care how good the rig is. That's just not a thing. Jury rigging is where you come in, take a plow, and then duct tape it to the side of this thing so it can plow snow. Are you going to use the snow plow every single time? Absolutely not. Is it pretty? No, of course not. But for that one situation, that one shot, it's going to work. So that's what I do like 99% of the time when I deal with rigs, is I don't change the rig itself, I duct tape shit to the side of it.
Yeah,
so,
that's pretty similar to what like I've had to do.
Yep.
With like attaching props in Mobu and stuff like that. It's like you don't directly fuck with the rig in most cases, or any cases usually. Maya is a different story because at least like with what what I used to do in Maya, there were times where you would have to hack something to make it work. My current production, not so much.
Yeah. But you can even see in this scene, like I have a ton of locators throughout the scene. And some of this is jury rigging, some of this is like placement holding, that kind of stuff. But this is a good example right here, what I was talking about before. So I have this ability to rotate the hand on the spear, and then it's also constrained to the spear. So when I move it around, the hand still follows it.
Yeah.
The rig was never meant to do that. That's not what it was meant to do. So, but that's me jury rigging crap on top of it. I have a system of 4 locators, all constrained to each other in one fashion or another, and then that's all constrained to the rig. It's not inside the rig, it's not part of the rig, it's just kind of duct taped to the side, and it's so easily removable. But it's the same kind of scenario. Are you going to use this in every single shot you do? No, absolutely not. Is it pretty? Hell no. Matter of fact, a lot of these aren't even named. That's my bad. I should really be better than that. But it's a super quick and effective way of dealing with a difficult situation that you never have to deal with again. So if you want to learn how to modify rigs and things like that, You don't necessarily have to be a rigger, but you should at least know how to use locators, how to use constraints, and how parenting works. If you know these three things, you can get through the vast majority of situations.
One thing that I actually really enjoy in Motion Builder is something that I don't think they have in Maya, which are effectors, like end effectors, and it's essentially like something where it grabs whatever you've created an effector for, and when it's toggled on, like, let's say you've got it on the foot, and it's like, I don't want this foot to move from this spot for this set of frames. You toggle it on for that set of keys, the foot is staying in the space of that square. And then you toggle it off. So it's really great for foot placement. Also really great as a quick toggle for having like your hand be the child of, like, say, holding a two-handed weapon, because you normally want one hand to be the primary and you want the second to be kind of pulled by the weapon itself. At least that's how I set mine up. And so having those effectors be a child of the prop is really useful, and I really wish that Maya had it.
Yeah, those are called auxiliary effectors, and they're great for a multitude of reasons, but the ones I use a lot more are the auxiliary pivots. So they're not that like that giant cube. They're similar to what I did here, where you change, so you have like an IK effector, but then you create a new pivot point in a new position, so you, for things like touching objects and things like that, they're ungodly useful. And I actually made a tutorial about this not too long ago. Let me see if I can throw it in chat real quick. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. Can I? We'll see.
Back. I've been bequeathed the cat.
You've been bequeathed the cat?
The cat is now in my room. Hi, Gimli. He's not happy. But yes, that's, yeah, I should play, so is that, I should play around with those at some point when I have time, if I can. You know, auxiliary pivots.
Yeah.
And see how they compare.
I use them for damn near everything.
I'll have to play with them.
And I almost found the video. Give me 2 seconds. Because I just had to post this video like yesterday. Because somebody was dealing with this exact same issue. There you go.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah,
also, further up, I posted a link of the other, like, Journey to the West character dude.
In chat? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save this for later.
That's pretty much the exact same character. It's the same idea. Spiky hair, long stick.
Testosterone.
Yeah.
And
just roided out.
Yeah, very roided out. He was cool though. Like, his design was very, very monkey-like, which I thought was really neat. Like, his movements felt ape-like, and like the sash acted almost like a tail. It always felt like a tail. Like, it wasn't, oh Jesus, poor head. More that it just acted like the silhouette of a tail.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. Did they actually try to add like extra life on top of it too? Like, did they try to animate the sash to kind of give it the illusion of a tail, or is it just all physics driven?
I would say, I'm not sure. I would say go take a look at it and see what you think. But overall, I was really impressed with the solid silhouette of that character throughout the game. It's a game that could have done better if it had, I don't know. I liked the concept a lot, but it definitely had its setbacks. But it was a really neat game.
And that was Enslaved, is that what you said?
Yeah, Enslaved. Or if you ever can't remember the name, just look up like Andy Serkis, the video game.
Oh, fuck.
Because it's like directed by and starring Andy Serkis.
Wait, did it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That was why I was kind of interested in it. So my opinion of Andy Serkis currently is not exceptionally high anymore.
Nobody's opinion of Andy Serkis is exceptional. At least not if you're an animator.
Yeah.
Can we not talk about him? Sure, we don't have to talk about him. We talked about him enough like 2 weeks or 2 sessions ago.
Did we talk about Andy Serkis 2 sessions ago? I must not have been here for that.
We talked about him.
We don't have to talk about it though.
Yeah, I'll just drop it. But
oh, it's because I missed the mocap talk.
That's what it was. We did a whole discussion on mocap.
Man, I'm so salty that I missed that talk.
And if you at home missed that discussion, we have the video saved out on the AniMates YouTube channel.
Yeah, you should check the YouTube and subscribe and watch all our videos. And we are also super open to any sort of like discussions that you would like to hear us talk about over like the weekends.
Oh, that's right.
I can't let you out, Gimli. But yeah, we're hoping to get a lot more topics happening and a lot more sort of animation sessions like this happening. Lots more Q&A.
A lot more interviews.
So many more interviews. If you know anyone also that you would like to see potentially interviewed on the AniMates or has interest in like being interviewed. Oh yay! We got another subscriber. Thank you.
Follower. I think that was my follower notification.
Oh, you got a follower notification.
No. See, that's the thing. Since I'm using my OBS to run through Elisa's channel, it's using all my notifies on her channel. So I think that was my follower notification.
But was it you that got followed or the AniMates that got followed?
I assume the AniMates? I don't know. I can't tell. This is the first time we've done this with me trying to hijack somebody else's stream.
Yeah. Also, be sure to subscribe to Shrill Llama as well, and like on his personal stream where he does art.
Yep. I also do streaming myself. I do plan on doing a lot more this month. I divide my stream up between digital painting and animation. But for the next month, I'm going to be working on this animation. Let's see if we can get this facial expression mirrored over. Nope, that didn't work. I was kind of hoping he would do something, but now he just kind of looks stupid. Let's go to the jaw. It's the jaw.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Thank you, A2. Thank you for watching me, judging me.
You creep. No.
Keep me lying and keep me focused.
Yes, go bother him. Make sure he's actually doing work and not procrastinating.
Yeah, right.
Like I am absolutely doing right now.
Things finally cooled off for you at work, David? No, it did not. Matter of fact, we just jumped back into crunch time.
Woo!
Yeah. I heard
Sweet
another
crunch
follow
party.
notification. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that must be connected to my channel. Oh, wow. That's 3.
Getting so many subscribers for being on the AniMates.
And it's kind of funny because the way OBS is set up right now, I can't see the preview. I can't see anything that's happening on OBS. It's just a black screen. But the problem is, if I actually switch this up and go to like arrow, like OBS requests, everything works fine, except now you can't see the little screen in the bottom left, the bottom right hand side of or bottom right corner. So I always have to keep it non-arrow. It works better. It's just not perfect. All right, so I was trying to mirror the pose over.
Oh yeah.
Another notify. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, it's linked to your channel. There you
Is
go.
it? Okay.
You got some more followers.
Thank you so much, all of you.
I should come harass you at some point too.
Everyone should come harass me. The more harassment I get, the better motivated I am. Where is this guy looking? Do I need to do this? Maybe do this. It's a face control cam. Yep, there we go. I was smart about this. Good for me.
GG.
By the way, I don't know about what you guys prefer. I do not like this kind of setup, where you have a bunch of face controls like this. I much prefer seeing the face controls on the face or have it completely attribute driven. This is so much harder to work with, I think.
100%.
Dave, your schedule is Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 9:30. Yes, that is currently correct. It'll probably get jumped up to 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. because crunch time. Like I've been doing such a good job at getting there at 8 o'clock and leaving at 6:30, so I can like go home, eat something, and then stream. But I can't imagine it's gonna stay that way. So
I'd
let's
love to
see.
do weeknight streams. I was doing Saturday morning ones initially, but then I was like getting invited over to my friend's place and like, come have a pot roast, and then I go there instead.
And you have to go eat a pot roast.
Oh man, I really love their food. Instant Pot life.
Okay, let's see if we can get his expression looking in the right direction.
Yeah, what else do we need to add?
This is always tough because you never want to see like the eyes completely disappear from the white area.
Sometimes you gotta, yeah,
Just
separate
kind of
them.
fudge it and do a little wonkiness here. Get him looking in two directions. There we go. That's right, right? That works. Thank you for the follow. And again, I wish I could see who's following me and doing what, but my OBS is completely jacked right now.
Yeah.
And actually, it is 2 o'clock, which is about when we're supposed to wrap up.
Yeah, I don't know. How much longer would you like to go for?
I
know we got a
cannot
little
actually keep going
sidetracked.
for too much longer because I gotta leave. I gotta be somewhere at 3.
That's okay.
But I am super happy that we could have done this today
Yeah.
because we were not able to do it last week, which was a bummer.
Yeah, I'm really sorry again about that, but just shit, sorry. I just knocked a bunch of stuff down to the ground. But yeah, we tried to set up, we had everyone ready to talk, and OBS just decided it didn't like me. Or maybe it was Twitch that decided it didn't like me, but it really did not want me connecting to the stream, and it sucked. So we talked about Spider-Man instead. For like an
yeah,
hour in
for
private.
almost 2 hours. It was just like a little Discord talk, and we couldn't air any of it, which was such a huge bummer.
I was so heartbroken, because it would have been a great thing to have even just recorded.
Oh yeah, it was just a good conversation, period.
Yeah, we need to have more of those.
Okay, so we
Also,
need to
I
see-
don't think I mentioned, I finally met Elise for the first time.
In person? No kidding.
Yeah, she stopped by Toronto, so yeah, we had a couple drinks and shot the shit. It was a good time.
That is always so cool. It's almost like surreal, isn't it?
It's,
When you meet somebody that you've only met online, but you're across the country.
You've known them for but you've known them for so long that like it doesn't feel like it's a just meeting thing. You're just talking like it's normal.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah, like I when I went to Amsterdam, I ran into Max Jarpy, who had just moved out there to be an animator.
Nice. Yeah.
And yeah, we went to a bar and we shot the shit like it was like we've been friends forever. Like it was...
Yeah. I love internet friends. The same thing happened with my best friend and her husband. He started talking to me like I never met him before. He just started talking to me, like didn't bother being like, didn't even say hello, just started talking. It was very funny.
Alright, so right here I'm trying to get just a slight arc to the chin. Just so he's not just like turning static this way. We got a little bit of arc going on. That's always nice. And we could probably, since we're not doing like the same 3 shots of them just going like, we could probably get away with just doing 1. So we could add a little bit of cant to the head here. Just a little bit of variety. And then we could probably even delay that cant a little bit here. And obviously the facial expression is kind of going through a linear transition. Oh, by the way, another great example of making the shot work. For this expression, this is what the geometry looks like. I shattered this guy's face.
Oh yeah, you did.
Look at all that clipping. Oh, look at that. Oh, what is that polygon? You don't even know. Oh, it's terrible. He's contorted in just an extremely painful expression. But you can't see it. Because I don't have any lighting in the scene. If you hit this with just 1 spotlight, the whole facade would fall apart. Like, it's... But I think I'm just going to play blast this. I wasn't planning on doing anything more to it.
Yeah. It looks great though.
Yeah, I like the expression.
I look forward to being able to finish it. And soon you will be free once again.
Yeah. And I'm going to try super hard to stream throughout the rest of this month because I need to. I'm just falling behind. I haven't gotten onto like a good groove in a while. Learning to cheat today. Damn right. That's half of production is learning how to cheat.
There's so much cheating that happens
There's
in
so
whatever
much
you're working
cheating.
on. I have an 11-second shot in Troll Hunters, where one of the characters is physically just in the countertop. Because the
Nice.
set is super fucking wide because it's accommodating for trolls and not the skinny humans that they built.
Yep. And with cinematics, it's amazing because you can always hide things over the cut. Like we hide the worst things between two shots. It is fantastic.
Yeah. I've been appreciating a lot of the like behind the scenes of like Spider-Verse to see what sort of hacks that they did.
Oh yeah, all of it.
Oh.
And again, talking to Alec last week was just incredible.
Yeah. I really do want to just be like, talk Spider-Verse for an hour, Alec.
Yeah, we'll shut up. You just ramble. Especially with that cape. Oh my god, that cape was so cool. God, that cape. I was blown away. I had no clue you could even do that.
It was super hacky.
Oh, it was crazy hacky. You guys don't even know. You weren't even there. It was so cool.
We'll get him on, and we'll be like, Alec, we're gonna shut up and you're gonna talk for an hour. I know we had a theme, but nah.
Yeah, irrelevant now.
You're talking.
All bets are off.
But no, we will try to get him on to talk Spider-Man.
Guys, yeah, I promise we'll bring it up again because it's too good not to talk about.
Crazy. And yeah, you guys are also going to be like, it's stuff where it's like you would have gotten into trouble for that kind of shit in college.
Oh yeah, I would have gotten slapped on the wrist.
Super hard, yeah. I wonder. I'm trying to think of who else I would love to get onto this show for like off tangent.
Oh,
I was thinking my old animation teacher, Isabelle Baudouin, because she's done a lot of stuff. Do you remember the movie Balto?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, she was like
that was a DreamWorks animation.
The lead, I think, but yeah, she was the lead 3D animator on that. She's like one of the pioneers of 3D in movies. But yeah, she taught. She also worked on like An American Tail and had like a bunch of her like pencil tests of that she brought in on her light table.
Oh, that is so.
But then she also went on to work on like Dynasty Warriors. She's got such a crazy background.
That's so weird to think about. Starting off in 2D on feature film and then working on something like Dynasty Warriors. That is so crazy. I can't even imagine. That's a face only a mother could love. Ugh. You poor bastard. I don't like the symmetry in that mouth, but we can fix that later.
What is Colin Sanders a game developer now, or is he an animator?
Get these shoulders up. I'm trying to fix the continuity between these two shots here. So in the previous shot, he was...
Oh, crud. I'm so sorry.
Oh, God.
They're cooking in the next room. I'm so sorry.
Well, they're obviously not cooking if everything's on fire.
No, it's a very sensitive thing.
I think we can delay this a little bit so we can jut his neck a little bit forward there. Let me drop it down just slightly. So that's a little more sheepish looking. This neck sticking out like this is a pretty gross angle. I think it did it for some reason, but was it the last shot there, right? Yep, right there.
Yeah, basically, when it comes to like posing rigs, break the rig.
Yeah, everything you don't think you would ever do, just do it. So we could probably take this whole facial control system, copy that to about there. Same with the jaw. So now, goes that expression sooner. And I'm trying to block it in here. I'm trying to get a sense of the timing for it. I eventually have to play blast it out and... But actually, it's 2:15. I gotta go.
Oh, yes. But no, thank you so much for taking the time to do some animation progress.
Yeah, and I only got to set about 3 or 4 keys. Which...
I'm so sorry, but
No,
thank you
that's
for
the whole
showing
point.
us, like,
Keep
yeah.
your questions coming. Keep learning. This is the whole point of the stream, is to inform animators and to teach them new things and kind of like look at different perspectives, depending on whether you're in
Mhm.
film, TV, games.
I
Doesn't
want to
matter. Everyone should learn
I
everything
want
about
to play
everything.
with you. Yeah. We'll try to get you on again at some other point. Maybe not necessarily on a Sunday, but I bet we could, like, even if you want to poke in on a weekday and do this again,
Hmm.
if you're up to like answer some questions with the animates.
Oh, but if it's a weekday, that means I'm streaming on my stream.
Are you streaming every weekday?
Trying
Yeah,
to.
you can stream on your own.
Yeah.
We'll try to promote you then.
No,
We'll just
don't do that.
Why not? You want people.
I know. I wanted to keep my stream. I try to keep my stream really small.
Okay.
Yeah, so I never advertise it. But you guys are here now. So yes, if you do want to see my stream in the future, my name is Shrill Llama. I'm on Twitch. I stream Monday through Thursday. I do animation and digital painting, and you can catch me anytime then. So, but I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you, Sedona, for keeping me company and helping me work through my problems. Thank you all of you for tuning in and asking questions and helping us expand our minds about the animation process. We'll be on next Sunday to talk about something.
Yeah.
We know. You'll find out.
I won't, but good luck. I'll be
enough.
on a plane.
Yep. But anyways, I hope this was super fun for you guys, and I will catch you all next time. Have a nice day.
Have a good night, guys.